We're going to the Sheraton Hotel really just to get away from this mob. And there is a lady who is following us, and she said something astonishing. Basically, she's going to the Sheraton Hotel as well, not to harass us, but because she's a registered guest. She even took out her key card and showed it to us. Check it out. David Menzies for Rebel News here in Toronto. And folks, before I get to my story, please, if you can, go to journalistdefensefund.com. If you're able to, make a donation. We love to bring you the other side of the story, but sometimes there are some stories that, well, they obligate us to higher security because there are nefarious forces out there that don't want us to bring you that other side of the story. In any event, here is a bizarre sidebar to our most recent visit to Nathan Phillips Square in downtown Toronto, the home of City Hall. For a couple weeks now, the square has been occupied by a group calling itself Afro-Indigenous Rising. They're really a bunch of thugs. Sure, they're being called peaceful protesters, but check out some of this footage and you tell me if this is peaceful.
How are you?
You tell me, my friend.
I don't know. You look.
Sounds like we're all pretty sick, aren't we?
Get out of here.
We're all sick, my friend.
Get out of here, man.
Don't touch me.
Give us space.
Don't f***ing touch me.
Give us
I'm in a
space.
public square. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Come on!
Don't touch me again, buddy.
Okay, so true to form, on our most recent visit, we were once again literally forced off the square, even though we had full security, and we went right across Queen Street to the Sheraton Hotel, and that is when something incredible, I think, happened. You see, one of the stories I was hoping to bring you before we were shooed away was the fact that, as we observed in our 12-hour stay at the square on Monday, almost all of those tents that you see in that so-called sacred circle are empty. In fact, a couple of tents actually blew away. There's literally nothing in them, and they had to be brought back to the circle. The ringleaders are based in the major big tents. That's where I believe the cooking equipment is and whatnot. And yes, they were told on Friday they were found guilty of, I believe, 11 sections of the Trespass Act. And they were supposed to leave today, Monday, but, well, the devil's in the details, isn't it, folks? Because the language of the trespass notice was the city may evict them, not will evict them. So take a look at this footage. We're going to the Sheraton Hotel really just to get away from this mob. And there is a lady who is following us, and she said something astonishing. Basically, she's going to the Sheraton Hotel as well, not to harass us, but because she's a registered guest. She even took out her key card and showed it to us. Check it out.
We're not. I have a room in this hotel. Yes, and then can I show you my key? Yeah. I don't have a hotel. I have 2 room keys for the Sheraton right here.
Let me see the front of it.
So I can enter the hotel because I'm paying to sleep here.
So isn't that interesting? I mean, here's this group. They're all about anarchy. They're all about systemic racism. They're all anti-capitalist and about tearing things down. But when it comes to the ringleaders of Afro-Indigenous Rising, you think they're staying outside overnight in this humidity in a tent with no plumbing? No, they're going to the Sheraton Hotel where the average room is over $200 a night. You know, it is incredible. We saw this exact same phenomena back in the days when Ezra and I were at Sun News Network. The tent city at St. James Park for the protest of the day then. That we proved with an infrared camera that the vast majority of the tents were empty and they were staying mostly at the Holiday Inn down the road. And then in February, you may recall, I went to Ottawa. Remember Anne Cognito, not her real name? She allegedly walked from Calgary to Ottawa and set up a filthy tent city at the War Memorial in Ottawa in order to get a meeting with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, whose office was across the street. Well, I went a calling her in the wee hours of the evening, and here's what we found back in February. Hi, we're just seeing if there's anybody in this encampment, and we've gone to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tents so far. Is there someone in this tent here?
You seem to be talking to someone, so I guess the answer would be yes.
Absolutely. Okay. Would this be Anne Cognito?
Who are you?
I'm David Menzies with Rebel News. I think we met a couple of months ago.
Okay, goodbye.
Yeah, so as the saying goes, it's deja vu all over again. The only person at that tent city was indeed Anne Cognito. So basically, as the saying goes, folks, don't believe the hype. When you see dozens, if not 100 tents occupying a certain piece of real estate, don't assume there are dozens or hundreds of people in those tents. It's all part of a sham. It's all part of some PR campaign to make you think, and to make the city think, and to make our gutless mayor think that there are actually more people that are part of this uprising than there really is. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. If you can, please go to journalistdefensefund.com, and if you're able to, make a donation. You know we like to bring you the other side of the story, but there are some violent types that like to prevent us from doing so, and that means we have to hire security.